Good Monday evening to everyone. I know it's a beautiful day here in Southwest Michigan and Northwest Indiana, and we are back for our 19th episode of the Monday Night Rewind, presented by the National Compact Touring Series, Federated Auto Parts, and ELH Detailing. I'm Lewis with Top Row Racing Media, owner, content producer, pretty much everything Top Row. And then also joining me here shortly is Buju, host of the Buju Bull Rings that you have seen, and a new episode is about to drop soon. So, Buju, it's a Monday, 19th episode. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. A little sleepy. Bad night of sleep last night, but other than that, pretty good. I had a short weekend of racing. I was only at the racetrack for about 4.5 hours total, which is a very short week at the races for me. But still, I'm ready for this weekend already. So,
yeah, I am coming off of 3 days of racing, and my drive time to Corrigan Oil yesterday and back was longer than the race program. They did features only. They skipped the intermission, which it's a good thing they did, because if they didn't, we would have definitely rained, into the last feature. So they did everything they could. Kudos to them. Sunday shows are always tough anyways. And, but they have, that was their second of 3 slugfest that they have. And so, car count wasn't where they wanted it to be, but there was a huge modified show the night before in Indiana. So, when you have 46 or whatever it was modifieds down in one track, and then have a modified show the day after, probably not going to get as many anyways. But still, they did a good show there. Couple first time winners, couple who have on a win streak. So, but yeah, my drive time, once I got home, I'm like, I was on the road more than I was at the track. But I don't mind that either. Feature only programs were sometimes my favorite for that reason. Like, get in, get out, get it done, get it over with, and then you still can go live a little life. So and the weather was, other than the rain, was pretty beautiful weekend.
That's what I told our group chat when we left M40 on Saturday. I said that might have been one of the more perfect racetrack weather days ever. Not a cloud in the sky. It was 70 something with a nice breeze. Got in the shade. It was not even cooler. It was a perfect day at the races.
Oh yeah, and that's something that, again, I'm exhausted from this weekend, but it's not because of the heat. Where last week it was like the heat, and it's like, okay, I'm kind of, this is the kind of weather that I go for, the 70s. Again, sitting outside, it's so nice. But I know sometimes me, thinking about the heat, and it's like, but we're not in like fire suits or anything. Yeah. You are sometimes, but our first 2 guests who we have, other than Camren a little bit later, when we think of being in fire suits and everything else, is we're going to be talking with Ron Crandall and Joe Schaefer from the Kalamazoo Track Services. So if you know anybody who's on a track service team wherever, or you've always been interested in what it takes to be on the Kalamazoo Track Services or any track safety team anywhere, definitely this is the conversation to come and join. We'll be talking what you as drivers can also do to be ready. I do have a rec that I'll be showing them to have the team walk us through their protocols, like what are they assessing when they get onto the scene. So we'll kind of do like, hey, here's an accident, walk us through the steps that you take as a team. And we'll go from there. So they have the first hour. They may not use the whole hour. I told Joe on Friday, I said, I just want to make sure they have the time, that we don't feel rushed on something. So especially when we think about safety. And then, of course, Camren McCrudden will be joining us at 8:05. And don't forget to throttle up with us this Thursday for another episode of the Thursday Night Throttle as we preview the upcoming weekend, especially as we get into the holiday shows. Lots of things going on, fireworks all over the place, you name it. Lots of stuff. Night of Destruction season's coming up for a lot of people. And then also quick, cheap plug time, 35% off on all orders using the Father's Day code that's on there right now. The Father's Day code is 35% off. All you got to do is put stuff in your cart. You don't even have to add the code discount to it. You just put stuff in the cart and it's automatically applied. So other than that, I know it's 7:05 Buju. So if you're ready, I know Joe and Ron are already on with us. We can dive right into the conversation with track safety.
Let's do it.
Don't forget, of course, again, to share this out, like it out. That it helps all of us. And again, I haven't seen too many podcasts bring on like safety team members. So I'm so appreciative of Joe and, of course, Ron joining tonight. They always let me invade their space every Friday from time to time. So I definitely have a deep respect for them and what they do. And so let's go ahead and let's bring on Ron and Joe from Kalamazoo Track Services. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, that's right. I was going to change the layout here. There we go. I forgot. But again, it's a Monday, and you guys, there are some weeks that you've had a super busy week because what a lot of people may not know is that you're also part of the 500 Sprint Car Tour and also part of the Reveal the Hammer. So if you want to talk a little bit about both of your backgrounds and who you are, how you got into track services, and then we can go how KTS has evolved to being a part of other people's or other series traveling safety. So let's kind of start with who you both are.
Okay. Well, I'm Joe Schaefer. I started this about 23 years ago. I got actually I was kind of helping Craig McDonald do some things when he was back involved with it. And I helped him with some stuff around his shop, and he just kind of asked me if it was something I was interested in. And I tried it a couple nights, and I really enjoyed it. And that's how I got my start.
I got my start when I met my wife. Her dad changed racing tires down in the pits, and she knew Craig. And so for a while I was changing tires in the pits, and then when races started, I went up and jumped on the truck, and that was in 98. So like 27 years ago, 26, 20. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Well, and I keep changing the wrong layout, but I mean, that's where you guys have been. You both are veterans of this team, right? So you've really seen it evolve, over the years. What is it taking to keep it at the level? Because, some have already commented, one of the best in the business, and that's already been written, right? I mean, it's well documented that Kalamazoo Track Services is one of the standard bars when it comes to short track safety. You've trained the South Bend crew. You guys have worked with like New Paris's crew. You've worked with Lucas Oil. You've worked all over. So, in your guys' years, one, what do you think has changed the most with track safety? But two, how do you guys keep it at such a high level where people are calling KTS to, come and help out?
Wow. Well, I guess I to be honest, I don't look at it as we're the best. I look at it as we just go out, we work hard, we do a good job. We have certain parameters that we have to meet as a team, and that's what we are as a team. It's not an I, me, or thing. It's a we thing. And it's just a lot of time together. A lot of the guys that are there now have been there over 10, 11, 12 years. So we've really been able to work together as a team and train together. We train with Terry Kaiser and Jake Steele, who you had, kind of briefly mentioned. Terry's with CRA and SAS, I believe it is. And Jake is working with the Dirt Modifieds out of Indianapolis. So, I mean, we have both of those two that were around for a long time also. So it's everybody that's been there has been there a long time. So it helps the team grow together.
Well, and you can tell, right? Like that cohesiveness that you all have on the track. It's like you get to a scene and you just know what you need to do. And that doesn't just happen overnight, right? So, I mean, that's something that even as you've brought in different members from time to time, it's like everybody has a role. So, Joe, I know as the owner of KTS, if you want to talk a little bit about the roles, even specifically for Kalamazoo, like, each seat in that truck, what's their titles and what are they responsible for? Whoever may be filling those spots that night.
Just depending on who's there, the driver is usually what we call the incident commander or the head of the team for the night. Being my passenger to the immediate right is our EMS person. We're all fire and EMS through the county in some way, somehow. And then first person off the back on the driver's side is like number one fire person, but also EMS backup. And then the first person off the back on the passenger side is fire and traffic direction. There's a lot of other little things that go on with that. I mean, everybody has to be paying attention and know what's going on. But that's the basic 4 positions on the truck.
And so you mentioned EMS, you mentioned part of fire, part of, like county. Like I know you're with Alamo Township, or no, not Alamo. Which one is
Pavilion
it?
Township.
Pavilion. Yep.
Yep.
And so with that, what kind of certifications does it take to be on, KTS? Because I know in the past you've kind of mentioned, and you just did now, like with EMS and fire. So what kind of training do you guys go through outside of the track to then be on this team, and then even things that you guys do as part of the team for training certification?
Well, we've all been through Fire Academy in the Kalamazoo County. Well, I guess
Most of us.
most of us have. There's a couple that have been outside the county that are PSOs with another county. Our first responders is something that we're trained from countywide. It's like a three-month course.
Yeah, basic. It's a year fire academy. Then it's 6 months EMS for medical first response. We do have a few that are EMTs, but in Kalamazoo County, and I've tried to mention this to a lot of people. Even though we're EMT or higher, some of us, we can only perform to what the county standard is.
Oh, okay.
And that's a medical first response. So even though we're higher, we can only perform to that level. And it varies state to state, county to county, depending on how their med control sets that up. Fire is the same throughout. It's how we train. It's what we train for. And then outside of the track, we train structurally. So it's all structural firefighting and rescue that way.
Well, and you guys have had some fires to put out at Kalamazoo, not always on the track. A dumpster last year, caught on fire during one of the Night of Destructions that or was it the year before? It was one of those where you guys had to go to the back and put out a fire dumpster or a dumpster fire. And it's not because it was a dumpster fire on the track. It was a literal dumpster fire in the pits.
Well, that's actually started as a car fire on the track.
Yes.
That they took it out back and just dumped it in the dumpster, and that's what caught the dumpster on fire. Yeah.
So it was a dumpster fire in a way, but with that, if you guys want to talk a little bit about, there was a track in the area that obviously made some news with the huge fire in the past, and cars on fire and different things. And a lot of times people maybe sitting in the stands don't realize the different ways that you might have to attack a fire, or the different equipment you might have to have, or the different fuels that you're dealing with. So, with that, like you guys have had, like we just had a fire at Corgan Oil yesterday, and, they got on it right away, and it looked like, just foam everywhere. We had, not at New Paris, but they have had a fire in the past, and they got it put out right away. But I know you guys have had them at Kalamazoo, even as recent as Super Shoe last year. So what are the things that you guys use to combat all these different risks that, happen when it's at a track, especially like a fire, and why your background matters for that?
Well, it's pretty much on the track. Pretty much all we use is foam. We've done enough small fires trainings and stuff like that with pan fires and stuff to prove why people like Purple K. I got nothing against it. It's a good agent. Same with water, but two liquids push each other rather than put each other out. Foam blankets the fire, takes away the heat source, so it essentially puts it out with a blanket. That's what we use, but it's also not just track-wise that you have to be paying attention to. You have to know your track, know where your stands are at, know where your concessions are at. You have to know the whole thing, not just the track.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we train on also. yeah, the track is important. That's where our drivers are at. That's our first concern. But our second biggest concern is the people in the stands. What's going on with them? Is it a medical emergency? Is it fire? Where's the fire at? Is it in a kitchen? Is it a bathroom? Who knows? And that's where that training comes in. We, do little scenario type trainings with everybody. And then, we talk about it a lot, hoping that we never have to use it.
Oh, well, and that's where, again, there's been some situations that have happened even in the stands where you guys are Johnny on the spot. I mean, red flag comes out or whatever, and, you're right there because, there's risk everywhere, anywhere on a track and track property. Again, even you lead to like a dumpster fire that's probably not expected on your bingo board on a night, but, but with, so Ron, what's one of the biggest things that you feel, from when you first started safety, over 2 decades ago to now, what's the biggest thing that you think has changed in terms of what you guys do as track safety?
I don't think there's been really a lot. These cars have definitely gotten faster. There's more risk hitting the wall and breaking a fuel line. There's more people in the stands that, a lot of the newer people don't come to the races. It's always the older ones that are out there. So we do have some medical emergencies.
Oh yeah. Like I said, when you guys are having to respond to the stands, everyone's looking down. What are they doing now?
Yeah.
They're on the wrong side of the fence here. Kenny Head does not want me to forget, by the way, too, that you guys are also, Joe, you're the safety director for the Family Fun Mini Wedges, which goes between Kalamazoo and Berlin. So do you want to, I don't know how many mini wedge programs have, a director of safety, who has like literally someone who's highly trained. So what's something that, that's a whole different challenge for you. So what do you find in the mini wedge world that, makes your presence, where those parents and spectators know, hey, our kids are in good hands?
The biggest thing with the kids is it's always fun for one. The kids are great. They want to learn as much as everybody else does. And for me, it's a new learning experience because they go a lot faster than I do. So, but the biggest thing for the kids, you got to teach them helmets, what's right, what's wrong. You can only have certain ones. Then their belts, making sure they know how to do their belts, that they're in compliance with dates. And then knowing their car, where are your shutoff switches that you have. Making sure they, you can't push it, but they do have fuel shutoffs where they can kind of reach over and turn it. It's a quarter turn valve. It's nothing hard, but and then just teaching them to be astute to what's going on around them, I guess is the best way to put it, because kids are like butterflies. They want to be everywhere at the same time. And
yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to corral them in, but it's been interesting for me to learn, how to work with kids in a whole different dimension.
Plus, you want to bring these kids up too in the safe aspect of, they're the next generation of these race teams. I mean, moving on from mini wedges, they'll probably move on to quarter midgets, and then they'll be at the big track. So,
well, that's where I was going to say, while we have drivers who are watching, we have lots of different people who are watching, fans who may not understand all the safety aspects, right? There might be other tracks on here who are listening in. Again, one of the best teams in short track racing. What are those safety things, right? You're teaching and training the kids now to be aware of that with the mini wedges, so that as they move up, right, they're aware of these kind of things, including dates on the belts and any fire suit stuff, safety things. So what are some of those things that, you try to teach then to the big cars and the big stars, on Fridays, or whether it's at Reveal or with 500 Tour, which is a whole nother challenge? Like, what do you want them to know about safety and the things that they can do so that hopefully they don't need you, or if they need you, they're as protected as possible.
I guess the biggest thing with the big cars is, most of these guys have been doing it a long time. There's very few of them that have been, say, under 5 years. So a lot of these guys have been around. They know what the standards are. They know, they go to enough trainings. They go to Lane. Most of them go to Lane every year for the safety summit, where all of this is talked about in different increments and different class type settings. And so with the big cars, it's not a huge teaching issue for us. It's just them knowing that we're there to help them if something goes horrendously wrong.
Which hopefully it never does, right? I mean,
Exactly.
You guys,
exactly.
I mean, think of the training that came in a few years ago where you guys literally saved someone's life. They had, I think, what was it, a heart attack during practice or whatever it was, and you guys had to be right on the spot and basically save their life, right? I mean, those are, you hope to never have to use it.
Right. Yeah, no, that was an evening practice about 9 o'clock. It was in the fall, if I remember correctly. Gentleman parked his car, got out and fell over, had a heart attack. We were called to a man down, started CPR as soon as we got there because he was not breathing. Called for resources around us. And we did CPR for, I'm guessing, a good 20 minutes on the gentleman, and did not have to shock him, thank God. And by the end of the time, when we loaded him in the ambulance, he was sitting up talking to us. He left in the ambulance talking and laughing. He thought it was funny.
Wow.
He said, I can't believe you saved me, and I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, if we hadn't have been there, you don't know who else is trained to do that. So
how do you guys find yourself then with Reveal the Hammer and 500 Sprint Car Tour? Like, how did those conversations come about where,
Uh-oh.
I always tell people whatever you can share too, because obviously there may be some things that you can't share publicly, but things that you can. How do you find yourselves doing those two series, which, travel all over to all these different tracks?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start this one off. But so since we've been at Kalamazoo Speedway for so long, we've kind of built a relationship with a lot of these drivers and that are driving in the Reveal the Hammer. We've been to a lot of tracks just to go watch, and we know when these guys were racing at these tracks, we have watched things that we don't think is very safe. When we are on the track even at Kalamazoo, when cars are on the track, we are fully suited. We have all our safety gear on, no matter what. We've been at places where, they're just sitting around. They might be just hot lapping, and people are just sitting around with not all their gear on and not ready for anything, and something happens. We've watched a lot of things at many different tracks. So we just want to be there for the drivers to make sure they're safe.
And how well do you guys work then with those other teams when you're there? And are there any teams who might come up to you after you guys being there? Because, Joe, the new truck that you have, I guess it's not new, you've had that truck, but, obviously the Kalamazoo truck stays at Kalamazoo, right? But you have your own truck that's equipped with multiple thousands of dollars worth of stuff, right? So, do you have then, how well do you work with those other teams, and then have any teams come up to you guys afterwards, go, hey, what's that? Or, hey, how do you get that? Like, what's your experience as you travel around?
Actually, to this point, we have had really no issues. We go in with the aspect of we're here with the Hammer Series, if that's who we're with that night, or the 500 Sprints, if that's who we're with. We try to find their safety teams, and introduce ourselves as, we're here with them. We're not here to take the show. We're not here to do anything else. Their safety is what we're here for. If you want us to do something else, let us know. If you don't, say so. We'll set idle somewhere at the while whoever's on the track is not, our worry or whatever. But we always make it abundantly clear we're not here to take your show away. And if we can help, let us know. We'll help any way we can. And usually, for the most part, I would say 99% of the time, everybody's like, yeah, just, do what you can to help us. Some places are like, just run with us, come out with us, even if it's we just block for their truck.
Right.
To keep their guys safe. As simple as that. We're all working together to do the same thing, is keep drivers safe. And there should never be any, they think they're better than everybody. It's not the way it is. We want to help. That's all it is. And, we've gotten pretty lucky with these two series. We've talked to them many times before anything ever really happened. And we just, I guess we got lucky. They understand where we're coming from and what we're trying to do, and they like what we do. So, I guess that's the best way I can explain that.
All right. Yeah. Now, Buju, you've kind of been quiet, so I don't want to stump on you either. So definitely feel free, if you have a question, go ahead and ask.
One thing I was just curious about, maybe a little bit on the lighter side, when I get to play announcer a little bit down here in Indiana, I always like to mention that safety crews down there in those hot suits, and they're not sweeping the track for fun, and they're trying to get the show along just like the rest of us. But I know those fans do get a little antsy sometimes. Has there been an instance where maybe there was a good heckle out of the grandstands that you chuckled to yourself about, or a time where the fans were getting particularly impatient while there was a lengthy cleanup?
Well, we have, since we've been at Kalamazoo quite a while, we do have some people that have been in the stands, and they heckle us every once in a while if we're out in front of them. So it's not unusual to have somebody do that at Kalamazoo, but at different tracks, no, we haven't had anybody that I know of. Sometimes you don't even listen to them.
I was going to say, Ryan had a video one time where a fan right in front of him was saying something, and he just said, "Dude, shut the hell up." And I said, "Ryan, I had to mute that." And he's like, "Well, and it's, in fact, it's when Joel hit the wall. Joel's in here, and he hit the wall really hard in turn one, and he's out there chit-chatting with the fans, smiling. I'll get out while his car's sitting there absolutely demolished." And he's as happy as can be. Other drivers may not be as happy, but not Joel. Joel's happy. He's just in there talking to everybody. But fans at that time were, they're waiting for a hook, because there was the other tow truck was getting like another car, and there was one other truck that was somewhere. So you guys had to wait for the truck to come back, and fans are going, that you just hear Ryan, "Shut the hell up." We're doing our job.
Yeah. Sounds like Ryan.
Yeah. I had to mute that, Ryan, because we don't need you to get in trouble. But obviously, you guys are there to do a job. And I know one thing that, like, Chris and Tracy have even said at New Paris, like, we're going to do it right for the track conditions, for a driver. So when you guys have like engines blow and you have all these things and you have to clean this up, do you want to take people through the process of like what you're looking at, what you're watching for, how you'll know when, okay, we've kind of done our job. Now let's let the tires, the drivers with their tires work it in. So that way, maybe fans who are watching, or even drivers who might be sitting there going, "Come on, let's go." That, like, what are you specifically looking for on the track when you're cleaning up or sweeping up?
I guess the biggest thing is we have to find where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
We try to pay attention very closely to cars that are, I'll call it smoking. That's pretty much the base way to do it. We try to get them off the track and get them looked at before this happens, hopefully. It doesn't always happen. And when they go, there's not much you can do. We try to find the start point. If we can find the start point, Usually that's the worst of it. Then it's just a trail. We're lucky enough to have a sweeper on the back of our truck. That's huge. It saves a lot of handwork. And then where they end up, we have to pay attention very closely to that, because even though they have dropped oil or whatever they drop, it's possible that gets all over the engine. They could have a small engine fire. So we're looking for two different things. And then it's just getting oil dried down on it as quick as we can, and the least amount possible. That saves the fans from eating too much dust. And then it's just busting butt to get it done and get off the track so we can continue on. It's not really that fun to watch. It's not that fun to smell or wear, but it's part of the job, and we have to do it.
Well, and there's one way that you guys have been even hooking up some cars lately with the tow truck. You haven't done it too often, but a couple times, and you're the only track so far, or the only team that I've seen do it that way. When you have the straps go through the cockpit and everything and wrap it around, I actually was trying to find which week it was, because you did that a few weeks ago with the front wheel drive, and the other videos I have are all front wheel drives too. You haven't done that. You haven't gone too exotic with the street stock or late model yet doing that, but do you want to talk a little bit about that technique? Because it was, I think, 2024 when you guys used that technique for the first time, or you were working on that technique. You want to talk a little bit about why you might hook up a truck or hook up a car that way, where you just kind of almost like a grocery bag, you just lift it up and go.
Well, a lot of times though, when we do have accidents, we if there's multiple cars and stuff, we might have multiple ones that we have to hook. And if you need two wreckers because you got flats on the back and flats on the front, we just end up just hooking it with one and lifting it up, like you said, a grocery bag.
Yeah, I watched that for the first time and I went, what are they doing? And you guys were still working on it, because like the wrap, it had to change one way how it went, or the strap, I should say. But you're the only track, or the only crew, I shouldn't say track. I mean, Kalamazoo is. I mean, that's the only track I've seen employ that. But obviously, you guys are part of that. Where I've not seen anyone else do that yet. So that's where I'm like, I didn't. Where did you guys see that somewhere, or did you just practice that?
That's part of our training.
Okay.
Terry Kaiser, which Terry.
Yep.
He works for McDonald's Towing.
Oh,
and he's done that. He's done that for a long time. So we've actually done training like that for a long time. We just don't have to use it very often. So it's kind of interesting to watch sometimes when we do that. Like Ron said, instead of double hooking a car, we can single hook one, get it out of there, and then grab another one with the second truck. Some instances, like Super Shoe 2 years ago, we picked a car off a car and both axles were broke. So we just took it. And, we got questioned on it, but it was like both axles are broke. He can't do anything. We've already got it up, get it off the track and get the next car hooked and get it off the track. Sometimes it's just expediency.
Yeah. And I think with the 4 cylinders, mainly because they're a lot lighter, it's a lot easier to do. We have, way back in 97, 98, there was a late model that actually got wadded up on the front stretch, and we actually picked it up with a single wrecker also the same way.
Oh.
So I mean, cool. it's been done. But yeah, we have like 6 different size straps and stuff. We can do different things with getting a car.
Now, for fans who may not know that either, and again, having a camera with you, we've been able to, when Ryan first started that tradition, we've been able to see different things. Like people have, fans, drivers are like, I didn't know they did it that way, or, with like tow straps or whatever. So, for fans who may not know, why would you use like a tow, like the straps versus the hook? Because I do know that there's been some fans who have asked that in the past when I've posted those videos of how come they're not using the hook on the tow truck? Why are they using straps?
Well, straps actually grab onto the frames a lot better. the hooks. They can slide
Mm-hmm.
and they'll slip and stuff, especially when you're going like up the track or down the track. And so the straps actually hold a lot better and are safer to us.
And then Tina came up with something. I'm going to show it here on the screen, although it kind of blocks you guys a little bit momentarily. She says maybe an off-season class for drivers and crews to kind of help us know signs of like heat strokes, proper fire extinguishing in the pit to help you guys until someone can get there, how to handle a severe cut until you can get to us. I feel like many would attend. Do you want to talk a little bit about the trainings that you guys have done in the past and things that I know you've talked about, doing them again at some point. So if you want to talk a little bit about some things that you guys have done to bring awareness.
This year was pretty much our shortened year for training. We're going to try and do some more before fall, but it's so hard. Everybody has jobs, kids, and they're 10 different ways. This year was like I said, a shortened class for everybody to just renew their SFI certifications. But the next class we do will be a full-blown one that Terry and Jake do for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 8 hours a day in the classroom and then 8 hours out on the track doing different scenarios. But yeah, we at some point, if we got enough people that were interested in doing something like that, we could do a short, maybe 2.5 hour class on some of that stuff that would help. We try to on the fire aspect of that, we try to keep everybody away because most general personnel in the pits don't have fire suits on, and we don't want somebody to get burned, and then that makes the scenario or the scene worse than what it already is. We try to keep everybody out and away from it and just let us do our job. We all know drivers are going to help, crew members are going to help. You can't stop that sometimes, but we want to minimize the amount of people that get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that we've seen, in the past where, when, someone's kid might be injured or whatever, or is in an accident, right? The instinct is to go help, right? That's the fight or flight. And so it's happened at other tracks. It's not just at Kalamazoo, but you see like the instinct of a wife or, if it's a female driver, the husband, or if it's someone's kid, right, to go, does that sometimes make it challenging, if people have access to where you guys are and they, try coming around on the track or whatever, like, how do you manage that, understanding like, I know you're concerned, but we got to do our job. You could be impacting our job. Like, how do you handle that, so you're still professional, but also like, you're not our priority right now. That's tricky.
It can be a challenge sometimes, but for the most part, the EMS, whoever's sitting in the EMS seat is in with the patient. Let's call him the patient.
Yep.
And then everybody else tries to keep everybody away. Some cases we call Donnie, we call Andrew. Hey, let's get the gates, get everybody, so they can't get on the track. We try to keep parents off the track or crew members off the track. We don't need them being any more upset than what they are being the driver.
Yep.
Or, whatever. We just try to keep it simple and quiet for them to relax, try to tell us what happened, how they feel, what's going on. Unless it's more serious than that, then it's, depending on what it is. But we try to keep it as simple as possible because, yes, people are upset. People do get mad. You don't let them in to see. Sometimes it's a hard way to do things, I guess.
Especially with a lot of the younger kids that are driving the 4-cylinders and even the super outlaw late models and stuff like that too. It's hard to keep parents back.
Yeah, and that's where like it's understandable, right? Because that's where you almost have to go like, okay, I know maybe afterwards on the moment, like if I were in their shoes, like I understand, right? But it's also like, you know, if there's a doctor, if there's a nurse and they got to do something, right? Like, got to let them do what they got to do. But I know that's a challenge, especially, you know, when you have open access in a way. You know, a lot of these tracks, they can get through pit holes, they can get through spots, and, you know, you understand their concern, but just let us do. And that's where I thought about showing, since we're getting close, 20 minutes at the top of the hour, where I thought now might be a good time to show a clip. So this is from a few weeks ago. Logan, if you're watching, don't look. I know Sonny was on here, but to walk through like the scenario. So I figure we'll show an accident, and then obviously, I mean, there's some medical things that you guys won't be able to say just for privacy, but like walk us through okay, yellow or red goes out, you enter the track from that point, kind of walk us through once you see this. What's the team assessing? What are they looking for in general terms? So it may make a noise when I add it to the stage, but it shouldn't. It's muted. So again, this is, you know, Logan took a just absolutely brutal hit on the front stretch here. I'll back it up one more time. You know, they're coming out of, you know, 4, gaining, you know, speed, hits wall, comes across track, hits down below. Walk us through, okay, red came out, you're coming to the track and around. What are you walking through as you assess the situation with the driver and everything around the car?
Well, the biggest thing is getting on the track. I will say we're pretty lucky in the aspect of we don't have somebody telling us when to get on and off the track. We're, I guess you say, kind of blessed, not blessed. Some people like it, some people don't. If we see things, we can call yellows, we can call reds, and be headed out before they actually start. Some people don't like it, some do. I can't help that. So the first thing I'm looking at is I'm coming around. Is do we have fire? Do we have fluids? Along with a driver inside, what does our scene look like? Try to size it up. I'm on the radio constantly with the guys. You know, this is what I see. This is what I got. Appears to be one car, whatever. My medical guy gets out, goes right around. Ron would be first one off the truck, on the backside medical or fire. He would go to the other window. And then the other two guys, being me and whoever's on the back, Matt, probably. Matt would grab a fire extinguisher, head to the car. I would also grab one, set one at the front of the car, knowing that it's a red flag. We have total control of the track. And then if I need anything, I just let Donnie know what I need, where it's coming from, unless I need to get on the county radio and call for an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Then I break away for a short time. I do what I have to do with county. I get Alamo Fire Rescue coming, and then also an ambulance, depending on what the situation is. So in that aspect, we pull up. I have 2 medical guys go into each window, one to the driver's window, one to the passenger window. And then the other 2 of us are on standby for whatever they need. Be it a med bag, be it a KED board, you know, he hurt his back or whatever. We're going by what the 2 medical people are telling us.
Well, I'm watching that in person. Everything you just described, it was like synchronized everything. I mean, you exactly as you just explained it is exactly, you know, for those who are there watching it happen, right? You had 2 of your team members climbing into the car, assessing, you know, talking with the driver. Sometimes I've had onboard cameras in these moments, and it's like, well, obviously we don't show that because that's all privacy,
Right.
And all that. But it's like, I mean, you guys are instantly assessing, asking the driver, you know, how are you doing or what do you need? But, you know, it's just how you all operate. It's like, you know exactly what to do the moment you get to a scene, that you're not sitting there, Joe, going, you here, you there. Like everybody's like, you did like a fist bump up top and you dispersed and did your job. So again, you know, watching that, you guys have seen it at other tracks. Again, we won't call out other tracks or anything, but I know some of the tracks you've been to where you're like, oh boy, you know, and it doesn't happen that way everywhere. Where, I mean, it's like you guys don't have to tell each other what to do. You just you know what to do, right? And that also comes with decades of working together too. So what would you tell like new safety teams or teams that are like refreshing, like they're, you know, if any of them are watching or might watch this or see this and they're a new team or they're training a new team? Like I know Painesville last year, Speedway over in Ohio, they had a lot of new people as part of their team. So they were doing different things. Like what would you tell new teams who are trying to get that cohesive connection?
Wow. I guess the biggest thing is, you know, work on being a team together. You know, we're lucky. Everybody kind of knows each other from years and years. It makes a big difference. You know, we all kind of know how we work. We have a 4-page deal that we go by, you know, one for each person. This is your responsibilities and jobs. You know, set something like that up. Make it easier for your people to understand their roles and responsibilities. It's not going to come overnight, and it's a we thing. It's not an I thing or a me thing. It's a we thing, and it has to be that way. You know, practice. Go out on Saturdays, even if it's for like an hour or two. You know, see if your track will let you throw a car in a corner and do different approaches on it. You know, the first time you say you got one victim in it, or the second time you say, you know, a driver and a passenger because it's a night of destruction or something. You know, sometimes you get that crazy stuff. I won't call it what it really is, but you know, and work on different scenarios together. You know, you'll get better with time. There's no doubt about it. The more you do it, the better you get. And it was the same thing with us. You know, when I first started with Craig, you know, he'd be like, "Come on, get over there, do that." And it's like, yeah, I know I'm a little slower. I'm new. You know, but over time I got it. And, you know, I can't complain because I learned from two really good people, being him and Terry. You know, they taught me more than I ever thought I'd know about racing and rescue and racing. So, you know, I've been very fortunate. I know Ron has too. And so have most of the other guys on the team that, you know, we've been very fortunate on some of the people we've had around us. And that's what these guys need to do is, you know, work together, do some scenario-based stuff. And even when you do your main trainings in the spring before season starts, you know, just work on some certain things that, you know you're lacking on, and just work hard on them. You know, they will come and it will get easier.
Buju, what other questions do you have? I know we're getting near the top of the hour, so I've been asking a lot of questions, so I feel like I'm leaving you out here.
So once again, on the lighter side, I was thinking about a situation that I remember from a racetrack. What's something maybe that had you guys scratching your heads like, why? How are we even dealing with this situation? Why did you do this? How did you do this? The one I'm thinking of, somebody decided it was a good idea to drain hot oil into a cardboard box at a racetrack one time. So that became a track safety issue, unfortunately, real quick. What's maybe a situation, maybe not that insane, but something that comes to mind for you guys?
It's actually two different scenarios, and they were both in the last 2 years. Both of them at track south of here. Without getting too far into the weeds, I guess. Very poor tech and
very big safety concerns.
Yeah, very big safety concerns. Something that you wouldn't expect to see, I guess. You know, you would think that even the normal person, the normal driver would be like, that's dangerous.
Yeah. And are you guys making an effort in those situations to try and give your input and maybe say, you know, try and better the situation?
We have gave a lot of input to different racetracks. If they want to change things, that's up to them. But
yeah,
we're only there for our race, reveal the hammer or the 500 series. But we actually helped work their race too, and that's when the situation was. So yeah, we expressed our concerns and stuff for our
Sure.
safety also.
And are you guys? I feel like you mentioned a little bit through the show here, but are you guys monitoring other safety crews? Maybe not only the negative, but maybe learning something from another crew that you guys haven't tried before, picking something else up, a new technique maybe. Is that something that's part of the job or no?
We try to pay attention as close as possible for everything. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Ron's not perfect. The rest of our crew is not perfect. There's always something to be learned in safety. Safety is not a secret. If you're keeping it a secret, then you shouldn't be in it. A lot of people say it, and I've learned it from a lot of people. I know Ron has. It's huge. You've got to be open and willing to take it and then help back. We've had questions on why we do that. Sure. We give our reasons, and they say, okay, what if you tried this a little different? Sure, why not? We'll try it. We're not, like I said, we're not perfect. We're willing to learn. So.
And then my last question, I'll hand it back to Lewis then. So from a driver standpoint, with the advances in driver safety that have happened, especially in you guys' time in track safety, is like, I feel like that's kind of been the development of driver safety in short track racing. I feel like there's a notion among, especially I'm a 4-cylinder driver, and I think about the drivers I race with, and they don't think we're going fast enough to need a neck restraint a lot of the times. They think a neck roll is enough. As track safety and all the things you've seen over the years, what's your counterpoint to such a thing?
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I'm with you,
so
for the record.
Things have really evolved. I mean, back when we first started, they didn't wear anything, or if they did, they were wearing the neck rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they have the Hans device and the other, I don't know what Simpsons calls theirs, but
hybrid.
Yeah. I think they are very good. Even in the 4-cylinders, they are the best thing that you could do. Yes, you can still hit the wall at 70 mile an hour head on, and it's going to hurt. And that would be the best thing you can do. I mean, we've had a few guys hit the walls. Super Shoe last year head on that felt it for a little while.
Yeah. This used to be a 4-cylinder behind me, and the hit that it took was pretty solid. I'm glad for one I had my Hans on. So that was my last question. I'll hand it back over to Lewis, but I'm a big proponent of neck restraints in racing.
And you should be. I mean, it's your safety and what goes on in your life after that race.
Yeah.
It's I heard this a long time ago, but like your helmet, do you have a $10 head or do you have a $100,000 head?
Yeah.
What are you going to put on your helmet? I mean, your head, a good helmet or just something, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the same way when you're getting in a race car.
And same with belts. Don't pull them off the Night of Destruction car that's been out in the woods for a year and a half.
The Safety Summit at Lane that we go to, they have, if you bring in your belts, I think it's 50% off a brand new set of belts. I don't know why a lot of people don't do that. Take advantage of that. I mean, belts is one of the cheapest safety things you can upgrade. That would be the start of something right there.
So how often should people, again, fans may not always know this, and I figure we have a lot of people watching, so what better time to ask these kind of questions, just in case it's a friendly reminder, to maybe some drivers who maybe forget to do these kind of things. But like, how often should different safety things with inside the car be upgraded, such as belts, such as even maybe a fire suit or whatever it may be? Like, how often should drivers be going through and checking everything?
Well, if they're SFI certified belts, which they should be for circle track, they have an expiration date on them, and usually they're good for 3 years.
Yep.
So, I mean, they have white tags that say June of 27 or November of 28. So they have expiration dates. Joe said the other couple weeks ago, there was one that I think it was expired by a year.
Mm.
So, I mean, I think belts are like $120. If you take them to Summit or Lane during their safety summit, you get them a lot cheaper. And that's only because of a lot of guys, I guess, mainly 4-cylinders I see sitting out more than anything, but they sit outside in the rain, the sun. That will deteriorate belts quicker than anything. But a lot of the guys with the late miles, outlaw late miles and everything, they usually keep them in a barn or in a trailer and stuff. But that would be a big thing too, is just keeping them covered.
If you can't afford to race safely, you can't afford to race. So
Right. Same thing with suits. You know, I know a lot of guys that I've seen in the past, they like the single layer suits because they're cooler, and I get it. You're in a hot car. But if you can do a double layer suit, give yourself that advantage if something happens. It gives you a little more time, you know, or a triple layer suit. Or a double layer suit with the underwear, the Nomex underwear under it. Now, like, I'll just throw this out there. Our team, everybody on the team, we have to wear a triple layer suit with the Nomex underwear under it. We have to be able to have, because we're not right there at the moment. So we're trying to give ourselves an extra couple seconds, maybe to get in and do something to help. But, you know, try and give yourself some time. If you get in an accident, your car catches fire, you're trying to get out. Give yourself those extra few seconds of trying to, you know, give yourself the chance to make it, you know. And I know it sounds bad, but it's the truth. I mean, if something were bad to happen and catch fire, we had a guy in Super Shoe last year. The one car that hit the wall in turn 1 and 2 that caught fire. That fire, in all of the 2 to 3 seconds it took us to put it out, had crawled all the way up into the driver's cabin, and he could feel it. You know, and we were right there, knocked it down quick, and he still felt the heat on himself. So give yourself a chance.
Would you even recommend to drivers, especially like I know a driver who they bought new equipment at the safety summit. They had it in their car. They had a situation a few weeks ago where it was not letting them out, you know, like they were almost kind of trapped in their car until they got out. You know, is that something that you would recommend even to for drivers, even young drivers? Like we have Camren McCrudden coming on soon, who's just graduated from mini wedges, has moved up on the Hornets. Like, is that something that you would encourage, especially even at a younger age, like practice all these things, like get in your car in the garage or in a parking lot or wherever, and just practice getting out, practice, you know, what if this happens or that happens? Like, would you tell drivers like, hey, take 15-20 minutes to do these things?
Know how it goes together, you know, like these Hans devices, they all connect up around the head. Know how to get them unclicked and undone. Your belts, you should be able, most drivers can do it with their eyes closed because they do it so much. But in an emergency situation, you know, your adrenaline goes up a little more. I wouldn't say panicked, but your urgency is greater to get out. So know how things fit, know how they feel, you know, and that's most drivers, they want to be in a car a certain way. You know, most of the ones that I know, they want to be in tight, serious tight, you know, so they can't move at all. So, you know your feel, know how you want to be, and you should be able to get them undone as easy as you do them up.
Especially when the adrenaline's going. You know, like, because that that is a whole nother factor, right? Where you're just turning left and going fast, and next thing you know, you see flames. Probably not on the bingo board, but it happens, right? Unexpectedly. And what's one thing that drivers can let you know, like if they don't do it already? What's something that a driver can definitely like signal or let you know, like, hey, I'm good, bro? Like as you're coming over, is that dropping the net? Is that putting a thumbs out very clearly? Like, what are some different things that a driver can do to help you guys as you're coming to a situation?
We definitely look for the window net going down. That is a good sign that at least they're not hurt very bad, but we still got to check on them.
Oh, yeah.
That, the thumbs up, usually, well, not usually, sometimes they're, having a conversation with themselves about what happened. So, be it because of them or because of somebody else's fault. So, that's another way we can tell, they're alert, they're awake, they're talking, that's all good signs that we're looking for.
That was a question in the chat. Some people were talking about that. So that's why I brought that up. Like,
no, that's fine.
Again, it's not just even for you guys, right? This could be any track, any safety team, like
exactly.
Because it's all a cohesive team. Like we're all in it together. We hope to don't see you as part of the show, right? Because that means it was a really good night. Everything went left and went right. Not right. Went as expected. Because if it went right, then we do have the problems, and that's where you come around. But that's where, since those have been some different things that have been said in the chat, it's like, hey, like even if you don't race at Kalamazoo or you don't race Reveal or you don't race 500, here's something that you can do with your safety team or for safety teams or members who might be listening. How can they communicate with the driver? So one thing that I know you guys do, and I haven't seen it everywhere, every now and then you see it, but one thing that you guys do is you walk the pit area, especially like when you have traveling groups there or whatever. When the tri-state sprints were there, you were walking around checking the cars. When 500 was there, you were walking around looking at the cars. So before we let you go, because we are definitely running out of time, and we filled that hour. I was wondering, I wanted to give you that space because it's been a great conversation. But like, what are you looking for as you guys are walking through and talking with drivers? Like that's something you guys do really, really good about, is going around. So what are the things that you're looking for when you do that?
Yeah, with the 2 series that we really follow, plus the Kalamazoo, but the 2 series, we go through the pits and somebody's new car and stuff. We always look for where their shutoffs are at, master switch, fuel switch, see how they're belted in, make sure their belts look like they're how properly installed. I mean, we have seen some that are like sitting on sharp edges and stuff that we'll recommend somebody to change them. But we like to talk to the drivers to see how they're feeling. I mean, you might have somebody talking just fine to you in the pits, but they get in an accident and they're kind of slurring their words and stuff, then they have an issue. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of something that we started with, especially with the traveling series, and at Kalamazoo, you've really noticed that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, again, I cannot sing your praises enough. You guys you're an incredible team. I always, before every race program, when you're walking the track and I'm walking the track, do a fist bump and, always tell you guys to, be safe tonight. And, because again, we hope to not have you be a part of the show. That means, again, things went all right. But, we know that inevitably, we're going to see an appearance from KTS or a safety team. And, again, I just think it's the respect that you can have for a safety team, right? Like, get to know them too, say hi to them, acknowledge them. I mean, your guys' day starts early on a Friday. You're there before I am, and I get there, at least an hour before gates open. You guys have already sometimes been there a couple hours before that, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. And that's, again, I definitely appreciate, especially on a Monday night, Monday for everybody, but I appreciate you guys taking all the time tonight to talk with us too. So before we let you go, any last parting words or any, words good for the group that you would just like people to know, fans, drivers, whomever, to know about safety, track safety, what you guys do?
I guess the biggest thing is, just make sure you're up to snuff on all your equipment and, be safe out there. It's, you never know what can happen and how quickly it can happen on a racetrack. I mean, we've all seen it. There's been a lot of bad wrecks lately. So,
Oh yeah.
And work as a team. Definitely work as a team. There's no I or me in this at all. That's how you build a good team. Work together, be strong, and find, go other place, call other places. Hey, we're doing this training. Can you maybe come over and help us? Or show us some stuff. It's not hard.
When it all comes down to it, we're there for the drivers, the spectators, the facility, not to pat ourselves on the back or anything. We want good racing, safe, around everybody.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Again, you guys are incredible with what you do. So I did have a thought as you were talking, Joe, where I'm like, oh, wait, we forgot to mention that. But, it was the accidents. I mean, that's one thing that I think that's where this time's so perfectly about being able to get you guys on here to do a talk with safety. Again, I don't know too many podcasts I've seen do, have a safety team on their talk, but, there's really bad wreck. I think it was last week where some photographers and others got injured at a track and ended up in the hospital. I just saw one yesterday where a car went skateboarding basically around the wall and ending towards spectators at Ken Ross. I know you guys had a crazy situation where a late model street stock, I think it was, went flying off, and Charlie Hanna said it was the equivalent of a baseball fence, basically, that was separating them and fans, and that it could have been scarier than what it, luckily turned out to be. But yeah, so that's why I thought this was perfect having you guys on, because again, there's just so much that you do. I know my mom's an EMT, licensed EMT and everything, and she's been on rigs and everything, in her career. And so I just have a deep appreciation for what you all do.
We appreciate it.
Well, we love chatting with you and stuff when we're at the racetrack too.
Yeah, that started, I mean, that was like 2023 right away, getting there. And, and I've certainly gotten to know you guys over the years. And that's where I just appreciate you always letting me invade your space. I try to be, mindful of that. And I know, Ron, you've taken over the camera duties and have that on. And you got one of those super shoe moments where there was conversations going on between the drivers. You knew they were okay because they were all they thought of each other.
Sometimes I usually just forget to turn it on.
Yeah. But like I said, that's a good thing, though. That means it's not in your way. And that was always my big worry, is that it would impede what you do. And obviously, it luckily, right, it hasn't. So
it hasn't, no.
So that's where, again, I just, I appreciate that. But just knowing what you do, I know you don't always see the clips, but I do record the national anthem every night. It's just YouTube and Facebook don't like the national anthem. It's a copyright. But when it always ends with Home of the Brave, I always pan over to where you guys are standing over in the top of turn 2, because you guys are super brave for what you do, not only at the track but in the communities that you serve. And so again, just thank you for everything that you do.
We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Lewis.
And I'll definitely see you guys on Saturday. Hold the dumpster fires. No dumpster fires.
I won't be there. Sorry. My son's getting is getting married, so we have a wedding at his house.
All right. Well, definitely enjoy that. But Joe, I'll see you, and then
definitely
we'll still hold the dumpster fires.
Yes, I'm sure of it.
We'll save that for when you're back.
Okay.
Just so you don't miss out. We would hate for you to miss out, but I don't think Randy wants a dumpster fire either. So I definitely think that's not a thing. But if you're at Mini Wedges, you'll see Joe there. I got to post that. That reminds me. But Joel gave you a shout out, Joe, and I got to post that because again, everything that you guys do, above and beyond. So again, thank you tonight for taking, an hour and 10 minutes out of your night to hang out with us and chat about track safety. And there's so many people in the chat. I know you haven't seen it yet, but so many people who are definitely thankful for what you do and what the safety teams do, excuse me. But again, thank you guys so much.
No problem. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
No, thank you. And so again, we've been talking for the last hour. Again, we're live. So if you missed it, definitely when we are off here in a little bit, head on back and you can watch from the very beginning. We've been chatting with Ron Crandall and Joe Schaefer from the Kalamazoo Track Services Team, who are also part of the Sprint 500 Tour and Reveal the Hammer. But as we transition and we're at the top of the hour, I do want to do a reminder for the Thursday Night Throttle. This is before we bring Camren on. I know he's already in the staging area, but we have the Thursday Night Throttle again, 7 o'clock this Thursday, where we preview the upcoming weekend. Next week might be a little light. A lot of tracks are taking off the holiday weekend, but I know Hartford and Kalamazoo have big events going on, as does New Paris Speedway with their Night of Destruction. And then I know Saturday, there's Freedom at Galesburg, but otherwise a lot of tracks taking off that weekend. And this is a good time too, especially with all the rain we've had and now dust in the air too at the same time, that ELH Detailing, which is a marketing partner of Top Row Racing Media. Don't forget, you can go there in Bridgman, Michigan while your car is getting detailed. Enjoy the sunny shores of Waco Beach, or head over to the Cubby Bar and Grill. And especially if you're a Chicago Cubs fan, it's all Cubs in there. Or head down to Roma's Pizza, whatever it may be, to keep you busy while you're in Bridgman and get your car detailed. And if you use the code TOPROW, July 13th coming up, Bougie, we get to announce the first person to receive a free detail on the house from ELH Detailing. Also a proud sponsor of Matt Kemp Racing, who just was at Berlin over the weekend for the ARCA series. So again, take advantage of that. They support short track racing, so definitely support them. I know for, fans and drivers in the Kalamazoo area, that might feel like a little bit of a drive down to Bridgman, but again, you can see the Sears Tower, not the Willis. We don't call it the Willis if you're from Chicago like I am. It is the Sears Tower and will always be the Sears Tower. But you can see the Sears Tower, Chicago, Michigan City, and potentially where the new Chicago Bears Stadium will be around Gary. You can see that all from our shoreline right here in Bridgman, Michigan. So, Buju, are you ready for the next guest?
Yes, sir.
So racing down at Plymouth most consistently, but a mini wedge graduate, we have Camren McCrudden, who's about to join us. So let me pop him on the stage, make sure I click the right graphic. And we have Camren now. So welcome to the Monday Night Rewind.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, I've gotten to watch you as the mini wedge racer, but I haven't seen you since you've jumped over to Hornets. And so I definitely have a lot to still learn about you. I know Buju knows you quite well. So Camren, if you want to give everyone who may not know you, especially since we do have a lot of Kalamazoo watchers, New Paris watchers who may not have ever got a chance to watch you race, what's your background? Who are you? And how did you get into racing, and kind of take us from there?
My name's Camren. I race Hornets at Plymouth Motor Speedway. The love for racing started when my papa was racing when I was little. And then my dad got a car back in like 2019. And ever since then, I always wanted to be in a race car. After he raced for about 2 years, and then that's when I got into the mini wedge. And then after the mini wedge, we decided to make the jump to a Hornet. And we definitely learned a lot in the Hornet. But, yeah.
And you got a first heat win the other day, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So congratulations on that. But I'll let Buju go. I kind of stopped on him for a moment, but I'm like, you got to throw that in there. You got to win. So, you get the first one.
He's an A feature winner this year too. So
there you go.
He checked the heat win off last. He did it reverse order.
Well, then you should start with feature. I must have missed the feature one. I do follow your page. I mean, I followed your page since you're a mini wedge racer, but sometimes when I get on, I tell people all the time, like I might get on Facebook to post something, but I'm not on Facebook to doom scroll for, hours. So there's a good chance that I miss so many different things, but so definitely congratulations on your A feature win and doing it in the reverse, your heat win that I did see that from the other day.
Thank you.
So you mentioned coming from mini wedges. First off, let's talk a little bit about what did you learn in mini wedges that's carried over to Hornets so far?
Honestly, holding a line and kind of just like I said, holding a line and probably just learning how to pass and the patience. Patience sometimes. But.
So when my first time in a race car, I felt like I was flying out there. And then I watched the video and I was going 7 miles an hour. So since you had mini wedge experience, did you have that same experience jumping into Hornets, or did you feel like you were a little more comfortable right away?
Oh yeah, I definitely felt like I was going faster, and then I watched the video and it was like, well,
Yeah.
definitely feels like you're going faster in the car.
You picked it up pretty quick though. Like I said, last year was your rookie season in Hornets, right?
Yep.
You picked up a B feature win last year, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And then an A feature win this year. So I think we're progressing pretty good, Cameron. Like I said, the heat race coming last, that's reverse order, but that's okay.
Yeah. It just felt right to do it in reverse,
That's right. That's right. You gotta be a little different.
Everybody gets the heat win first. So I was like, let me get the feature and then I'll get the heat.
And with the crew that you're running with down in the corner there at Plymouth, they do things a little differently anyway, right? So who is the crew? Who do you get running around with that in that corner down there at Plymouth Motor Speed? The left turn corner, I call it down there at Plymouth.
Yep. Chris Kane, Melissa Keys, David Keys, Cordell Davis. We all just hang out down in the corner there and enjoy our time at the racetrack. That's all you can do.
How valuable is it to have those people to learn from? Because I mean, between the 6 or 7 of them, they have what, 250 4-cylinder races between South Bend and Plymouth. So I feel like that's a good group. How valuable is that for you as a young driver?
Oh, it's definitely an honor to have Chris and Melissa and Dave and all of them in my corner, and their support and all their help. I don't think I'd be where I'm at without their help, honestly. They've been a lot of help, and like I said, I don't think I'd be where I'm at now without them.
What you mentioned? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Lewis. No, you're good.
You bring up the Keys, right? David and Melissa, who obviously, they know how to win race, and Cordell Davis too. Not to leave him out, but definitely with David and Melissa. Melissa being a trailblazer at South Bend. In the late 2010s into the 2020s, and obviously she helped too with the mini wedges. So thinking of them specifically, just because they've done so much for the mini wedges where you came from into now, is there advice that they've given you or different things that they've taught you along the way that specifically stands out to you?
Oh yeah, you learn every new stuff every week, honestly, and they've definitely taught me a lot. It's like I said, you learning new stuff every week. So, they've been teaching me stuff, and yeah.
What's a good lesson that you got from one of them? Like one that stands out to you the most?
Chris Kane and Cordell Davis telling me not to do what they do. I did what they do, and it's worked out so far. So
I think that's good advice from Chris and Cordell in my experience. The best advice I ever got personally, or the one that stuck with me the most, I guess, also came from your crew. In my rookie year at South Bend, we were just having all kinds of problems with my car. We couldn't figure it out. And Dave Keys just said at the right moment, if it was easy, everybody would do it. I don't know. That stuck with me. So you do have a good crew over there in that corner. I know the competition is high in that corner too, and there's a lot of trash talking between the group of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's that like? What's the trash talk like? I know there's a positive environment. I know there's a lot of learning, but I know there's a lot of trash talk too.
At the end of the day, we're all just messing around with each other. You know, all of our goals is to beat each other. At the end of the day, we're friends off the track and all that, but when you get on the track, it's like you're competitors. But it's we always mess around, and like I said, our goals are always to beat each other, and yeah. We always congratulate you when we get off the track. And
so I know you had another new experience recently. You ran an enduro at Grundy, right?
Yep.
And ran all 200 laps. So what was that like?
I was definitely tired. I'll tell you that. Neck was definitely killing me the next few days. It was fun. We had a little bit of car problems, but we got around it, and it was definitely fun. I learned a lot.
Good experience for the Hornet.
Oh yeah, yep. I'll tell you what, that wall up there at Grundy is a little sketchy.
Yeah, the scoop. It's a scoop, Lewis. It is spooky. You get up there, it'll freak you out.
Yeah, but it's definitely a fun race. Like I said, we got to the halfway point, and my dad came up to me. He was like, "You tired yet?" I was like, oh, I'm good, I'm good. And then that last 100 laps
Yeah.
off the track, and I was just exhausted.
Do you have anything? Do you have anything else like that circled? Maybe I know it's always kind of just when it's convenient, when maybe the money's right. But is there something else maybe you have circled like that you'd want to do?
Honestly, I don't even know.
Fair enough.
Grundy are fun though. I mean, that's what I grew up on. You know, at Santa Fe and Grundy, with their enduros, they do a really nice job with those enduros down there. So I told Drew Jack when his were Night of Destruction style when I first got knowing him and everything, and I'm like, this is not an enduro, and it's just crashing, and that's not what an enduro is supposed to be. An enduro is supposed to be racing. And there might be bumping and banging. I mean, Melissa has a good photo from a few years ago where she's going into like a big water pile or something like that, where it's like splashing everywhere. I think that was her Muppet car. That was like 2019, 18, something like that. It was a Muppet car, but random noises. But that's, I'm like, is it on my end? I don't know. I heard I mean, I have birds behind me, but so doing an enduro at Grundy, I mean, that does say a lot because they're racing down there. And they have a lot of racers who do those enduros there. So it's not just a Joe Schmo showing up. There are many of those, and they put on a great show too. That's what they love to do. But you've had late model drivers who jump into those enduros down at Grundy. People who drivers who have 1 year is like 9 championships in a class down there. So I mean, they're not just it's not easy competition in that enduro.
Oh no,
not. It's not an easy competition when you're in your weekly race class down there at Plymouth either. I know we've already mentioned Chris and Melissa, who you race with quite a bit, but it's a tight field down there. Who are some of the other drivers that maybe when you're driving up there in the front, you see that car come up next to you, you're like, oh man, I got to push a little harder now?
I'll tell you what, this week, me and Kaylee Radon were side by side for a little bit.
Yeah. I'm glad I missed that. I would have been anxious.
that was definitely fun. Honestly, there's a lot of people out there that I'll be looking up at the scoreboard. I see them coming up, and I'm like, all right, time to go.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's honestly, the last few weeks, it's been like when we first started the season, the cold weather, I noticed a lot of the people that weren't as fast in the colder weather have been picking up a lot of speed lately.
Mm-hmm.
Warmer weather, but
where'd you end up this week? I wasn't at your race this week. This is the first one I missed.
I qualified 8th out of I think 16 cars, and then in the heat race we were front row inside of the fast heat. We didn't do the best in the heat, but in the feature we started 4th row outside, I want to say. It was honestly one of those races where it was more patience.
Yeah.
And not less, more patience, just waiting for the moves to come. But we ended up finishing 2nd that night.
Nice.
Me and Portia had a photo finish come into the checkered. So
see, I didn't even know that. Good job. I'm proud again. But so you've been racing Hornets for 2 years now, and I know that's probably the home for a while. Do you have goals to go racing something maybe a little quicker, or are you happy in Hornets? Like, I'm coming back down to race Hornets with you, so it's no judgment if you are a Hornet. But what are your future? What's the future look like for Camren McCrudden?
We have some plans for next year. We're not fully set on that.
You don't got to break all the news. All right.
Yep. We're not fully set on that yet, so we're kind of keeping that, in the closet just until we know it's for sure. But
I got you. All right. So stay tuned to the Camren McCrudden Racing page is what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah. Might have some big news coming up soon.
So what's been the biggest challenge for you jumping, this is year 2 now, right, for the Hornets. What's still, you've used the word quite often tonight, the word patience. And there's probably a couple of situations over the track over the weekend where I could probably paint that word over that and say this would be super helpful right now is having patience. So how do you remind yourself to have patience? And is there a time that you didn't have patience and you found yourself in the wrong spot?
There was a couple times where I didn't have the patience back in my rookie year. There were some situations that where we were 3 wide, got got a little scary at some points, but we got through them somehow. But I definitely have learned this year that you always got to keep in the back of your mind that you got to have patience. You can't just send it in, and because that don't work every time. Sometimes you got to give it a lap or two, see what happens, and the move will come to you when it's ready.
I almost should, in fact, I think if I say clip that, I think the program will automatically put a clip there for me, because that should just be a soundbite. This whole thing, that should just be a soundbite for a lot of people this past weekend. So, because I think maybe it wasn't even a full moon, but it felt like it. And so, you have an A feature under your belt, right? So what are some goals, maybe before breaking news later, what are some goals that you still have that are on your board, so to speak, while you're in the Hornets or doing Hornet things? Like, what are goals that you want to continue to achieve?
Honestly, just getting quicker every week. Getting quicker. Let's see. Snap, I don't even know.
Are you chasing a championship this year, or are you just racing for fun?
Chasing for a championship, hopefully.
Okay.
Yep.
So that would be the big goal for this year, in Hornets at least, would be maybe the Plymouth Championship.
Yep. That I'll tell you what, it's definitely been a tight field lately.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Oh no. But yeah, it's definitely been a tight field. Honestly, just getting faster every weekend and learning how to hold a better line. I know a lot of people say that I'm good at holding the line now, but like I said, there's always room for improvement. Another one of my goals is honestly beat Chris, to retire Chris. That's the goal. That's the deal between me and him, is to beat Chris and he retires when I beat him.
Chris isn't gonna retire, you know that.
We've gotten close to beating him a couple times, but we're almost
I don't buy that. I don't buy that he's gonna retire. I don't believe him.
I don't know.
Well, he's excited because Bouger, you said back in the Hornets, so he can't wait. And part of me is like, I don't know, when are you going to get in that Hornet, Bouger? Like, we keep waiting for that return, right? So
I got a date. I know when it's coming.
I'm definitely in the days waiting for me.
We'll be racing together soon. Don't you worry.
I've been asking him every week. I've been going up to him, being like, when you get in the car out here?
Pretty soon. Very soon.
What I'm hearing is you need to put a deadline on him and remind him, say, like, you have 60 days, buddy, to get on this track here, and you circle a date and you got 60 days or else you can retire too. So, you'll be like the Gunther, out of wrestling, right? You'll be the one who retires everybody.
There's a set of 4 170 Hoosiers, not Hoosiers, radials right behind this table. So I'm ready to go very, very soon. I got to find some stock springs. I threw mine away. That's the problem. But anyways, you mentioned growing up watching your papa and then your dad and then getting into racing yourself. My introduction to Camren McCrudden was the kid that would come up and talk trash to my nephew and tell him he's slow in the pits. So who are some of the other drivers that you were rooting for outside of your family and outside of the crew that you hang with now when you were coming up at the racetrack?
Let's see.
I know Charlie Hanna was a big one for you, yeah.
Charlie Hanna and Sage Hanna. Let's see, who else is there? I'm trying to think here.
You wiped them all out for Chris Kane. Chris Kane's at the top, at the top of the.
Steve Stacy is one of them. Andrew Coates.
I see in the chat here that Sage Hanna covered your mini wedge in glitter one year, huh?
Yeah.
Are you still finding glitter, by the way? Because glitter, take it from a teacher, glitter never goes away.
Oh yeah, no.
We did it one time in my classroom. I was convinced to do it after years of protesting. I said, fine, we'll do it. And we still found glitter 3 years later.
Oh yeah,
it never goes away. That'll retire anybody, glitter.
Oh yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but
no.
Glitter and saw how your face reacted to the glitter. I'm like, I've had that face before when, I was convinced so many times, or not convinced, but begged, glitter, can we do glitter? No, we're not doing glitter because I know what happens with glitter. It does not go away. It comes back.
Yeah.
But Andrew Coates, go ahead.
Honestly, I don't think I can get any
no,
other the top of my
if
head
that's
right.
if that's it, brother. I was just trying to get the rundown on maybe who's some of your other racing heroes. Were you a NASCAR fan before you started going to short tracks? Were you short tracks first?
Short track.
Yeah, I love that. So we've talked.
I don't have the patience to. I don't think I have the patience to sit for a whole NASCAR race.
Yeah, hey, fair enough. I hear that. So we've talked about your mini wedge pass. We've mentioned you got your Sherry feature. You've teased a little bit of maybe we got something exciting next year if everything works out. But who helps get to the racetrack now? Who's your team and who's your sponsors that helps make the 48 go in circles every weekend?
Honestly, I want to thank my sponsors: Card and Associates, Buju's, Bullring Chronicles, Zonky D's, Axe Throwing, Left Turn Graphics, LTD, Irrigation Repairs, Walter, Damn It Racing Videos, all the photographers, all the businesses that sponsor every week Plymouth Motor Speedway to get the drivers in for free. I know it can be a little pricey sometimes getting to the track. My family, definitely want to thank them. My dad, honestly, the nights that he has worked the next day, but he's out here till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night working on the car and making sure it's ready for the weekend. Can't thank him enough for that. Yeah.
Cameron mentioned me in that sponsor list, and the reason I'm not going to act like I'm throwing a bunch of money Cameron's way. I don't have a lot of money to throw Cameron's way, but I chose to sponsor Cameron and help out a little bit on the team because I think he's such a good kid. He has such a good attitude. I think he does things the right way. He drives clean on the racetrack. He's with his dad in the shop. I remember his dad posting a screenshot a few years ago, I think maybe before he even had the Hornet, of Cameron cleaning up the shop one day just to do it. And I don't know. I love a kid that does it the right way. And yeah, that's why I decided to jump on board with Camren McCrudden. That's why I asked you to come on the show today. So keep doing what you're doing, Cam. I'm proud of you as a sponsor. I just wanted to get that at the end here. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you. I also want to throw Chris Kane, Melissa, and Dave and all them for, like I said earlier, all the lessons they've taught me and the help. And yeah, definitely want to throw them in there.
Well, and it's quite an endorsement from Buju too, because out of the 19 episodes, you're the first guest that he's brought on here. So that means a lot, right? Because you're the first one that he's, been able to bring on and recommend. And so it's like, hey, let's make this work. I was at Kalamazoo saying, does 8 o'clock work? Because I knew with Kalamazoo Track Services ahead of you, I'm like, well, if it's a good conversation, I don't want to cut them off. And I also don't want you just hanging around going, hey, I'm supposed to be on at 7:40 and I'm still here at 8 o'clock waiting. So I definitely appreciate you being able to come on and work this in. One thing I'm wondering, especially as I go to the mini wedges now up at Kalamazoo, and they have Taylor Sexton, who's their race director and has helped coaching them. And we had Kenny Head on here earlier, who's the president of that. If you went back to a mini wedge race today, what would be advice that you would give them now that they can see you as the big car driver, like you used to see the Andrew Coates, the Chris Kanes, the Cordell Davises, and Melissa Keys as the big drivers when you were a mini wedge racer? What's advice that you would give to them?
Definitely don't go in a Hornet thinking that, just because you did good in the mini wedge, you're going to go doing good in the Hornet. It's definitely, you learn stuff in the mini wedge, but it's opposite. It's different in a Hornet than it is a mini wedge. I'd honestly tell them everything, like I said earlier, patience and how you can't just go on a race thinking, oh, I'm gonna go out there and win this. You have to go out there, with confidence, but also you gotta know in the back of your head that anything can happen, and you can't go out there and then get mad if you get in a wreck because that's part of racing. You can't go out there throwing a fit when you get in a wreck because it's gonna happen at the end of the day. You jump the car, that's gonna happen.
And don't do what Chris and Cordell do.
Yeah.
Well, I see there was someone in here who had said something. Austin Woodcocks, another good driver to
your grandmother said you forgot Austin Woodcocks on your list of drivers that
Yeah. Notice that you're looking at your wall, right? Because you probably have hero cards or something over there that's reminding you of. So is there a driver who you like that you watch or that you grew up watching that you kind of style yourself after in terms of like racing on the track? Like, you saw that maybe they raced a certain way or they did things a certain way, because we always talk on here we've talked in the past of how, you never know who's watching. And you never, and obviously the cars are in front of us, but that doesn't mean you're watching all 16 cars at one time or 14 cars. Like, you might have a favorite who you're watching. So was there a driver who, and you've mentioned a bunch of them, right? But any one of those who stands out to you the most, where you're like, I want to be like them. I want to race like them, or I want to represent myself like them. Anyone that stands out?
Honestly, I got about 2 drivers here. I'd say Chris, and back to the Austin Woodcocks, him too.
Yep.
I grew up watching him a lot. I remember when the street stocks used to pull out on the track, I was always looking for Austin. I was like, where's Austin at? But definitely would have to say those 2 drivers.
All right. A couple things from the chat here. Melissa Keys wants us to ask you what you are.
A retarded race car driver. Hey, I upgraded to a normal race car driver for 1 week, and then I'm back to car, so.
All right, hey, tough break, I guess. And then Marcus Vitale, he says, many don't know Camren helped Brian learn how to get around South Bend. First time we were there, he stepped up and talked to Brian about how he was running and showed him the fast line around there. Still grateful. And that's why I'm a Camren McCrudden fan right there. So.
Oh yeah. He was new. I figured, show him the line and everything. That way, give him somebody to talk to too, because I know he was new.
Yeah.
Some people, when they're in a new environment, they don't want to just go up to people and just start talking. It can be a little awkward for some people, but
yeah,
I just saw him as a new driver. Figured I'd show him around and go ahead and talk to him.
That's awesome, man.
So if you had to describe like a line that you like you talked about your line and how you hold it and how that you can get better with that. How would you describe that to somebody especially somebody who may not know Plymouth, right? Maybe they've not raced there before, or South Bend. Like, they know the tracks, but they've never been there. So like, how would you describe for you, like, your best line around like a Plymouth?
Let's see. Don't want to tell my exact line here.
But if you had to describe it to somebody,
probably just when you're going into the turn, you want to keep it not in the grass, but you want to get down there. You want to leave room in between the gas and the tracks where you're not in the grass. But you don't want to leave enough room for a car to get under you and take that position from you. But on the outside, you definitely want to go. I wouldn't say all the way up at Plymouth. I'd say right above that middle groove right there on the track on the outside, and just run that.
I thought Hornets like the grass, but that's maybe that's just elsewhere. I don't know, but
you definitely feel it when you go on the grass. It don't feel too nice.
Well,
you feel that bump, and you're like, oh,
yep. Well, and that's where, like I said, we were catching up with the chat. I'm glad you got to that, because with Melissa Keys coming in, that's something that when I first started going to South Bend in 2017, and I started to get to know the drivers, especially with the all-off front-wheel drives, the 2 drivers that I always look for were David and Melissa at that point, because they were always put on the battle. They were always racing. And then to learn that they came from Ileana, where I had also been to Ileana before, that was really cool. And obviously Melissa does incredible work with Left Turn Graphics. She's really built that up, and her work's all over. And so that's something that, again, those are 2 people who I have a lot of respect for, and just what they do. And those are people who I miss getting a chance to watch now as I've gone all these other places where, they know what they're doing. So again, you can't have better people in your corner, it sounds like, especially with the cast of crew who you mentioned. So I want you to think about it this way with that cast of crew. Let's say we put you all on a track one by one. It's like a spectator race. Who's winning a drag race between you and Melissa Keys?
Oh,
3 laps.
I don't know.
You can brag on yourself, by the way, too.
I don't know. I feel like it'd be close, especially if we're starting side by side. I feel like it'd be close. I don't know who'd win that, to be honest.
All right, you and Cordell.
Oh.
Trash talking loud.
Aren't you?
I don't want to say mean because, you know.
He's too humble. He was a better trash talker when he was 12 than he is now.
Well, think about it this way. Who runs a similar line to you that would be a drag race to the line you prefer to run, maybe than someone who's
There
like
you go.
opposite of you?
Yeah, maybe who do you think is you're the most alike in your group? Maybe that's the question.
I'd have to say Chris. Yep, Chris.
That's fair. I don't want you behind me in a feature then, because that means my back bumper is gonna get beat off. Chris came behind you. It's like, I've given Chris the finger before. If we're being honest. Anyways,
I have that on video too. So you know, but again, that's where, one, credit to the Hornets. And I know, Bouger and I've had this conversation too. The Hornet class doesn't get enough respect from a majority of people, right? It's kind of like the bathroom break for some race fans where I just want street stock racing. And it's like, well, the Hornets bring the most cars usually on most track days and most pit crew and most family, all that. But to compete in that division in Northwest Indiana, I mean, that's one of the toughest divisions in Northwest Indiana to be in, especially that South Bend Plymouth group, which a lot of them are the same drivers. Some of them have been racing together for years and they know, right? But I mean, when Buju was pretending to be a Hornet driver, the rest of his family was racing. He pretended, to get into the A feature at one point, that was minimal difference between first, and I even think one time it was all the way back to 20th. It could have shaken down any other way. So when you think about, when you're competing with that group and you get a chance to take the track each time, do you have any superstitions that you go through that might help give you the magic sauce to beat a group like that you're competing with week in and week out?
Honestly, no. Not really. No.
You just strap in and go.
I'd like to throw in there too. A lot of people don't really think about it. These street stocks and outlaw late models and all that, they get to do all this setup and stuff. We only get so much setup.
Yes, yeah.
And they're on Hoosiers and all that, and we're on just the normal street tires. So in a way, yes, the street stocks and all them are faster and stuff like that, but we only get so much setup that we can play with.
Legally.
So it's not,
Legally.
easy as people. It's not as easy as some fans would say it is. But yeah.
Well, that's mostly social media people who've never been in a car, and they think just because they can do iRacing that makes them a racer. But there's not saying that iRacing doesn't help, right? That's a very valuable tool that a lot of people use, but sometimes the ones who are the loudest are the ones who've actually never ever put on a real helmet with a real fire suit and inside a real car on a real racetrack with real fans in the stands and real things that can happen, right? Your car, if you hit the wall, doesn't just spawn and you can go again, right? And that's not knocking iRacing. Like I said, it's a helpful tool and it's a helpful thing, but sometimes those who are the loudest are the ones who've never done it and won't ever do it because it's too expensive, but they don't mind you spending the money to do it, right? So
they just think it, just because they've watched one race, they can go out there and do that, but
yeah,
it takes more, honestly. It takes practice and dedication.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned is from David Keys. He says, you don't win races. You win races in the garage. You got to make sure after every week you take the car home, you put on jack stands, make sure everything's good. It's not just leave it on the trailer all week and then go to the track and then expect it to be fast. You have to take it off, check everything, make sure nothing broke, make sure everything's still tight. And that's what wins you races right there.
So what are the lessons you've learned in the garage? Because sometimes people talk about that too. It's not so much even the connection to the track that you have, but it's those moments in the garage. So what are some things that you've learned in the garage while you're working away on the car?
Car can definitely be frustrating sometimes. Honestly, just learning to work on them. Honestly, I'm gonna admit I didn't know much about cars. I knew the bare minimum, but ever since I got into the Hornet, me and Dad have been out here working. I've learned a bunch on these cars of how to work on them and stuff, and put the cages in them and all that.
What's the biggest thing you've learned that maybe you didn't, like going from a mini wedge to the Hornet? Like what was maybe one of those like eye openers as you made the adjustment, you know, that you're like, wait, what? I didn't realize maybe all of that.
Probably, I'll tell you what, when you're in the Hornet and they drop the green flag, if you don't go, that car behind you is gonna go. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, especially if it's Chris Kane.
Yeah, there's some drivers that you don't go, they'll make you go. But honestly, just, you know, keeping the mini wedge, you had to hold, you know, you had to have a routine, like where you're gonna brake and all that. But honestly, in the Hornets, you know, you have to keep in mind where your braking points are at going into the turn, and where you start to get back into the throttle, where you should do all that. And you definitely had to think about that when you were in a mini wedge, but you definitely got to think about it more when you're in a car, the Hornet division.
And the radios are even so different to Hoosiers too. Like like I said, I don't know your future plans, but and people just assume that the radials are easy because they're street tires, but they're even different from race tires. You have to handle it differently. So that learning never stops, Camren.
Oh no.
So
you learn new stuff every day, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've been at Plymouth, you've been at South Bend. What other tracks have you raced, or what other tracks would you like to race at some point?
Honestly, I'd like to go up to everywhere, to be honest. Like I'd say M40, New Paris, Kalamazoo, all the tracks around. I kind of want to go up to, just try them, and you know, because like I said, it's all about having fun at the end of the day. So if you do good at this track, you know, some people are like, I'm just gonna go to this track because that's the only place I'm good at. But I think in the back of my mind, you'd want to go to the track you're not good at over and over again, just so you can like try different stuff and see. You know, you don't want to just go to a track just because you're good at it. I would want to go to the track and learn how to run that track. And even if I'm not good at it first, you know, just to learn how to run it and hopefully get good at it.
Well, and there's tracks that can be frustrating. I know a lot of people talk about Kalamazoo. I mean, even Austin Maynard has talked about his struggles at Kalamazoo, even though he does well. You know, like Kalamazoo, for instance, where I am every Friday, that's a tough track for a lot of people. And I sometimes remind our own drivers who get frustrated, like, just remember, there are drivers who have multiple championships, or drivers who have won on the biggest stage, like a Bristol Motor Speedway and other places, that come to Kalamazoo, and it's a little bit of a headache, right? Or they just have some monkey on their back, not because they're doing anything wrong. It's just, you know, at each track has its own different talent pool and experiences and veteranship and rookieship and all these things that, you know, you just, the more you can travel and learn, which I know is expensive to do, right? But the more you can go, I mean, that's a really awesome attitude to have. Is, I don't know, if I don't do so well at a place, I feel like I want to go back just to figure it out. And you're right. There are a lot of people who won't do that. You know, they're going to go where they're comfortable and it's warm and fuzzy, makes them feel good. And, you know, but then you're right too, if, you know, are they missing out then, right? Of getting, not maybe getting better, because we're not assuming they're bad, right? But they're not challenging maybe themselves to, yeah, you might get 10th place, but what'd you learn, right? You might get 20th place, but what'd you learn?
And another thing, you can't just go, say you go to Plymouth and then you go to, let's see. You go to Plymouth and then you go to some other track and you expect to be good at the other track just because you've raced at Plymouth. It's like, that's a whole other track. You know, you can't expect to be good at a whole other track just because you've raced at one track.
Oh yeah. Well, and is there anything, you know, let's think about that challenge, right? Like from a mini wedge, right? You know, what's something that, when you think about going to other tracks, because I know many wedges have done, like, did you ever do the Rumble in Fort Wayne?
No. We wanted to go up there my last year, but with the weather and all that, it was.
Oh yeah, the weather's spotty.
Have you got to run the big track at South Bend yet, or is it just mini wedges there?
Just mini wedges. I haven't ran big track.
Are you running this year?
Why? Right now, no.
Camren, I need you to.
I can't. I don't want to bring my main car there and risk.
I hear you. Run the enduro car.
My enduro car that still needs a lot of work done to it. I need a part for that. I need the K-frame for that car.
All right. Well, I'm just telling you should be out there July 4th. But all right, I hear you.
So what I'm hearing, Bougie was going to pretend to race.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to be a pretend driver on July 4th.
I want to be out there, but at the end,
I hear you. I get it. You're running for points. I get it. I'm not putting pressure on you. I hear you.
No.
Yeah. Anyways,
I was like, after I realized that I wasn't gonna be able to run it, I was like upset at first, but I was like, at the end of the day, you have to look past just racing at South Bend. You have to look at like the things that could happen and all that to it, especially if you're in points.
I hear you.
Points races after that.
I hear you.
Well, and that's sometimes why there are times that drivers don't travel around, right? Even though they want to, they just, because of points, right? Like if you're in the points championship, like I know, you get some drivers who are later in their career right now who they don't care about points. They've done that. They've been there, did that, and it sacrificed a lot of things to do point racing where, now they travel around, but then you have others who like, I just want that championship. Like talking with Colin Bozell last week, right? Like he's pretty committed to Galesburg this year because he wants the championship at Galesburg. He wants to get that street stock championship. So, I could definitely understand that sentiment. Like, yeah, it's one race. It'd be cool because it's South Bend, it's historic, and we just don't know if there's a last one, right? Like we don't know. It has a for sale sign on it. We don't know, but that's one race, but I have a whole season still ahead of me, so I definitely get that sentiment too. Like, I don't know if things go south and we have to fix a car or build a new car or whatever, then the goals that I had are kind of out the door. So I do get that. That's tough. But what's a race that you're looking forward to ahead? As we get near the top of the hour here and start to wrap up, what's a race, we got quite a few people still watching, to come watch you event, maybe come down and watch you. What's a race that you have circled on your schedule that you're looking forward to doing, or a night that you're looking forward to? I don't know the Plymouth schedule, so I don't know if they have a big, National Compacts are coming up on the 27th, so I don't know their schedule. So what's a race that people should maybe circle on their schedule to maybe come down to the playground?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really.
Yeah, I don't know that the Hornets have a special down there this year.
Yeah, no.
Just Drew shows then, which would be
I
think running a Hornet class
for the street stocks.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely one. This, that'll be a good show.
Yes, sir.
But yeah.
All right. Yeah. See, I didn't know. I just know Drew show down there this Saturday. National Compacts will be there. Do you plan to run with the National Compacts at all, just to give it a shot?
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah. You race Friday though, right?
Huh?
You race Friday this week though, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, yes, sir. There you go. Doubleheader at Plymouth this week if you're interested in seeing Camren on Friday and the National Compact Touring Series on Saturday down there in Marshall County.
I don't know if I'll do good, but
there you go. So hey, it's all about having fun, being patient, and learning, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we'll do that actually.
No. I'm not pressuring for the National Compact Series. I'm talking about Friday. You're gonna be all right on Friday. If you want to come see Camren race at Plymouth, check him out on Friday night this week.
Speaking about that, it'll definitely be a week you don't want to miss because it's autograph night this Friday.
There you go.
Not a week you want to miss.
Do you have anything special lined up for autograph night? Like, do you do hero cards or do you do something different? Like, I know a lot of people are starting to do different things, like actual goodie bags with like a bunch of stuff in there. So what do you have planned for autograph night that people can look forward to?
Probably just hand out some candy and autograph cards.
All right.
Autograph cards.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's almost getting like these promposals and all these things where like there's a team that they spent like $2,000 worth on like merch and all these things they were doing for autograph night. I'm like, it's getting that far now. Like hero cards were pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously,
And they're cheap.
does, you know, with On Track Design does an incredible job with his hero cards, and you know, and so it's like I just thought those were like really awesome, but apparently you need to spend a lot of money now on autograph nights too.
Yeah.
But other than that, Cameron, again, you know, that's where I definitely appreciate you coming on tonight and, you know, taking time to chat with us. You know, we get, you know, we've been averaging like 2.4 thousand viewers, like individual watchers, you know, watching this. So, you know, that's a lot of exposure for your sponsors that you could definitely share out with them and say, hey, I was, you know, on the Monday Night Rewind, which goes out pretty regionally. And we have a lot of fans who watch from the region. So I was so glad to get you on here because I know Buju just talks you up a storm. And I'm like, I haven't seen him since his mini wedge days. And that was like 2022. So it's been quite a few years since I've gotten a chance to watch you do what you do in person. So again, I definitely appreciate you coming on and telling your story. And again, there's some sound bites from this that I might end up pulling out just to remind people patience. Because you mentioned that like that was a purposeful word. You could tell that's a word in your vocab. That wasn't like fake, right? Like it's authentic, like patience. Because there's a lot of people who need that word in their vocab.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So whoever's training you and teaching you, and they have that as part of your just straight up vocab, thumbs up and kudos, because that's, you could tell it's ingrained in you. You mentioned it numerous times. And so that's when you know it's authentic, that you're not just saying the word of the day, that you know you're living that lesson each time you're out on the track doing your thing. So again, just whoever's, and I know you've mentioned them, but just kudos to them because I know some of them have been watching. And then definitely if you're needing hero card, you know, On Track Design, I see Jay Freet's on here. We should get Jay Freet on here at some point. I don't know if he'd want to come on the Monday Night Rewind, but maybe we can get him on here and he can tell all of his good stories because I know he's been in racing for a long time and has just his archive of photos that he's able to post are just incredible too. So he's definitely someone. See, Buju, you can work on your second guest.
There we go.
You can give Lewis a little bit of a break. You can schedule the next month. So, but again, Cameron, good luck this Friday night at the Plymouth Motor Speedway. Again, for anyone who wants to go down to the Playground of Power.
It's a good company.
Yeah. Are you are you still with Walter? Do you, because your car looked just like Sage's and Charlie's one year, didn't it? If I remember right, like the mini wedge. Yep. So yeah, because that was the mini wedge design that was going through my head. Is, well, didn't he just look like Charlie and Sage the one year, like almost identical?
Oh yeah.
Again, two cool cats that you can't go wrong with either. So I'm a big fan of Charlie and Sage. But other than that, I know it's getting late for all of us. And but again, thank you so much for coming on, Cameron.
Yeah, thanks, Cam.
Having me.
Oh yeah, and like I said, you gave me a lot of sound bites. So while you're on here, you can enjoy the last little bit of the show, or you're welcome to, if you want to leave yourself, it's okay. We're only on here for like 2 more minutes as I do the final rundown. So again, for the Monday Night Rewind, our 19th episode, continue to share out, like it. It continues to help us grow. And it's to showcase short track racing in Northwest India, Southwest Michigan. Again, earlier today, we had Joe Schaefer and Ron Crandall from the Kalamazoo Track Services Team, who were on for the first hour, and they talked about all about track safety, things they've seen, things you can do as a driver, things for fans to know. And then we just finished chatting up with Camren McCrudden, who races down at the Plymouth Motor Speedway in the Hornet class. Don't forget, this Thursday at 7 p.m., we have the Thursday Night Throttle, where Buju and I are back to talk about the upcoming weekend and storylines heading into the weekend. And then one more reminder, again, if you're looking for a car detail up here in Bridgman, Michigan, definitely take advantage of the ELH detailing offer, where for each time you buy a detail, especially if you have a daily driver and you have a collector car, whatever it may be, head on over to ELH detailing, get it scheduled. Our first one that we'll announce for a free detail for anyone who's used the code Top Row will be July 13th right here on the Monday Night Rewind. I'm going to actually try to have Eddie on here to help announce that. And that's 1 week after Leah Dibble and the World of Outlaws will have the first hour on July 6th, I want to say. So we're working on some World of Outlaw things for that week. So Monday Night Rewind, Leah Dibble will be back. So 1 week after Leah Dibble will be July 13th. We'll hand that out. And then the other one will be October 12th, just in time for the fall season, especially to get the winter coatings ready, because, once October rolls around, you just never know what you're going to get weather-wise in Southwest Michigan and Northwest Indiana. So before we head out, anything again good for the group, Camren?
Thank you for having me again. Not gonna lie, I was nervous coming on here.
Hey, you didn't seem nervous.
You did good. You did good, man.
Thank you.
Yep. We tried to
I know. As someone who was a guest my first time on here, I know it's awkward. So you did do good. I promise you.
Yeah, that's why we try to do. I call it a shoot first, aim second. Kind of like when you might learn the story one day about how George W. Bush shot his own, cabinet member, and it's all about shoot first, aim second, and we try to be relaxed and not scripted or anything like that. Like, I don't have anything in front of me for questions. It's just what comes off the top of my head. Buju doesn't. Although if you see him in the tower at New Paris, he has paper literally everywhere. The one day I almost wanted to mess it up while I was up there hooking it to the sound system. He wasn't around, and I'm like, this is so super tempting right now. But then I'm like, he is a co-host of 2 shows that are super popular right now. So it's like, you don't kind of mess with your co-host when, but it'd be super fun. And so lesson to him is probably, I didn't do it, but that doesn't mean Chris might not pull a joke.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, I was tempted and I steered the other direction. So just remember that, Bushu. I could have so messed up your whole thing, but
all right, I'm gonna start taking the notebook with me. It sounds like
your note cards. I'm like,
oh yeah. I moved on from the note cards. That was a bad idea on my part.
I'm like, is he getting ready for the ACT or something up in here? Because
that's bad.
Like a nursing student, like that's what a nursing student. That's what their thing would look like. Is note cards everywhere. So, anyways,
I all thought myself the note cards, but yeah.
But other than that, I know it's 9 o'clock. So again, Camren, thank you so much for joining. And this is Buju's favorite part. I always get to say it's almost time to turn left and go fast, because
see you at the races.
We'll see everyone. Thank you again.